everybody. Welcome to Horror Movie Yearbook. I am Tim.
I am Willie.
We are going to talk the Guest 10-year anniversary.
Le Guest.
Le Guest.
Le Guest.
The French
title, yes.
I don't know if it played at Cannes.
I don't know.
But,
if it did, it was Le Guest.
to guess. Is that the French word for?
No, probably not. Should look that up. I just like saying le in front of things.
Absolutely.
Our French listeners are embarrassed for me right now. I'm going to look.
Sorry. I was thinking about our French listeners. Probably a classy bunch. I've been to France.
I've not.
Beautiful place. Beautiful place.
Let's hear it. Okay, what is...
The only thing is, like, I get...
Hold on, I'm sorry. I got guest in French. Invité.
Invité?
Les invités.
See, this brings... Like, I'm a ignorant American. I went over there, and I tried to learn the language.
Yeah.
Or at least a little bit. And I ended up getting distracted by everything else, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
And so the problem is when you go over there, they do like when you attempt to speak the language. And so I did a little bit, but like I would be too intimidated because you also hear stories about French people. And I found they were mostly pleasant. I mean, just like anywhere, you've got your pleasant people, you got your assholes. So
I think that's kind of the case for...
Yeah, believe me, I've dealt with worse.
Yeah.
But I went over there and I mostly ate crepes because it was the easiest thing to order. And you can get breakfast, lunch, dinner crepes. You can just eat crepes all day because they have savory crepes. They have breakfast crepes.
That's true. Yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful country. Really enjoyed it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I like crepes.
That's where I went to the catacombs. Anybody go to the catacombs if you ever had
As above, so below.
Yeah, exactly.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did. Feedback I wanted to touch. I wanted to thank Tom. He alerted us. He gave us, if you want to read all of Tom, because, man, he wrote a lot. He is a Walking Dead fan. And
yes.
he said as a diehard Walking Dead fan who hasn't seen the final season and can't afford the AMC Plus spinoffs, he had a lot of comments about the first episode, last episode, and he talked all about...
It seems like he enjoyed it.
Yeah, we spoiled Dan Fogler for him. The demise of Dan.
Of Dan Fogler, yes.
So
yes.
happy to do so. I'm glad we've prepared Tom for that.
Yeah, you need to be
blow.
emotionally ready for that. Because watching old folks, take a knife to the temple is rough. It's tough stuff.
But they get him his harmonica, right?
Yeah, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Bury me with my harmonica.
So
that's what I've always said.
Just wanted to thank Tom, and if you want to read all of his comments, because he goes into Negan, he talks about Negan where we had no idea what was going on with that gentleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Tom did a great job clarifying things. Still don't really understand what was going on.
No.
But
I appreciate the effort he put into that.
We have our Discord Midwest Podcast Network Discord. You can find it on our Patreon. You can find a link to it. You get a link to it by just donating $1. You can find it. I don't know if it's open to the public. Maybe check it out. Maybe Google Midwest Podcast Network Patreon or Discord. See if you get a...
I don't think it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
So go to patreon.com.
We'll take $1 though.
Midwest Podnet and throw $1 our way.
Yeah.
That episode, that was I really liked doing. I had a lot of fun with that first episode, last episode.
Yes.
And it's one of our more popular episodes recently, and I'm happy because it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we'll have to do that again at some point, whether it's a show or a series of movies. We got to find the right thing to do it with.
I've been brainstorming some shows.
It's tough because there's no blind spots for a lot of these series for us.
They're not completely blind,
Yeah.
but there are a couple that I think we could get away with. There's one.
I got one or two in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Puppet Master would be one.
For the movies?
The first and then the last, and just see what happens.
Movie side of things. I mean, we could do it, but I'd have to really... We would have to be digging deep into some Full Moon, like some Charles Band, like Ginger Dead Man or whatever.
Yeah, I don't want to get too far into that.
There's got to be some you know what? Subspecies might be a good one.
It could be fun.
Yeah. I've only seen one or two of those.
The Adventures of Radu. Le Radu.
The problem is I've seen the most recent one. So.
Right. There's a lot of fun stuff. There's some shows I think too that we could probably...
There are some shows I think that would be fun to do because we could do... I mean, there's Supernatural I think would be doable.
I'm currently watching American Horror Story.
I've never seen it. Actually, that would be a good one. But that's anthology.
It's anthology.
Okay.
That's the problem. Right? I mean, so it'd be kind of... Yeah, it wouldn't work, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Well, that's a bummer.
Figure it out.
What do we want to talk about? Oh, I want to talk about this.
What do we want to talk
I want to talk to you about this Crystal Lake.
Oh, God.
So
Well, hold on. Let's get the Crystal Lake part out of the way first.
Yeah, we need to, because I was ready to go last week. I had a rant saved up. Let's see if I can get back to that.
Yeah, I should say we had to postpone. Sorry for that.
No.
Generally, one of us is dealing with sickness in the house. This time it was my turn. So
essentially what's happened with the Crystal Lake show that was going to be on Peacock is A24, the studio behind it, has said they are changing directions with the show. They're still going through with the show, but Bryan Fuller is no longer the showrunner. So
Kevin Williamson's no longer involved, I don't think.
Yes.
It sounds like a reset, basically.
I'm going to read what Fuller said.
Yeah.
Because this got me riled up, and then something else got me riled up. And I've got a bit of a mini rant here.
Here we go. Let's go.
This is Bryan Fuller, showrunner, creator of like Hannibal. Worked on Dead Like Me.
Yeah. What
American
was he
Gods.
Bates Motel? Did he? No.
No, he's not Bates Motel.
Okay.
So adapting classic horror is something I have experience with. These shows require a vision that elevates and transforms, as well as delivers what audiences have come to expect, which is an ambitious and risky endeavor. It requires people to take the leap with me. When it works with Hannibal, the results can be powerful for the storytellers and the audience. I couldn't be more proud of my work with my co-showrunner, Jim Danger Gray, that is a great name, and I were able to accomplish with our brilliant writing staff despite the challenges we face. For reasons beyond our control, A24 has elected to go a different way with the material. We hope the final product will be something Friday the 13th fans all over the world will enjoy. Okay, a very, I'm just going to say, you can read into that statement how you will. I don't think it's particularly, he comes across as a little bit annoyed, I think, with what has happened here. I want to say this to Mr. Fuller, because at some point, I think you have to, maybe Bryan Fuller needs to look in the mirror a little bit when it comes to stuff like this, because now we have had American Gods. He was removed as the showrunner, that series, after 1 year due to creative differences. Was it Amazing Stories, the Spielberg reimagination requel that was going to be on Apple Plus, never got off the ground. He left in 2019. Star Trek Discovery was removed, or left showrunner 5 or 6 episodes in. The Kurtzman took over for him. Now this on top of it. And you know what? There's a common denominator here. And I want to say this. So with something like Star Trek, it's a big franchise. And you have someone like Alex Kurtzman, who obviously had his own vision for the series, the franchise as well. And I think you see that playing out. So I can see how something like that may lead to creative differences. And I understand him being frustrated, and I understand parting of ways. This here, though, I'm sorry, when I think of A24, I do not think of creative, unfriendly studio at all. What the hell are you talking about here? A24, they release stuff that may be too director and creative friendly for me.
Sure.
I'm like, hey, why don't you step in on some of this boring shit? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
So
I don't get it.
And then on top of it, so I got to hear about this. And then Kevin Williamson, who I like, and his episode sounds awesome. But now they're out there, Williamson's talking about his episode being an hour-long chase sequence.
Which his movie Sick is basically a
similar to that.
Feature-length almost chase sequence, yeah.
And you know what? That sounds awesome. I think that would have been great. I don't want to hear about it, though. I'm so annoyed hearing about it.
You're bumming me out. Yeah.
You're bumming me out. And also, you know what? It's very obvious the show is just never going to happen.
No, it's never. That show's never happening.
Yeah.
No.
So as far as the creative differences go, you know what I like? I like shows that get made. And Bryan Fuller is someone I can't trust at this point to get... His vision was probably awesome.
Sure.
The Williamson episode sounds so
great.
Cool.
The whole thing about talking about a mother's grief and all that sounds cool. All right.
I would have loved to have seen it. The problem with Fuller is I can't trust him at this point to get any of this stuff off the ground, because he's proven
for whatever reason
he can't work within whatever system he has to work in. And I'm sorry, but that is a talent. And I see guys like James Gunn is an example of a guy who is able to work with his vision and get it through that studio system and still smuggle in ideas. Use it like he got his own voice across in the MCU, where the biggest complaint is nobody has a voice as far as
you have to wonder like why, given what happened with now Hannibal was a different beast because he was on Hannibal the whole run, I think.
Right.
It just got canceled after a few seasons.
It still had a decent run, didn't it? Was it 3 or 4 seasons?
I think it was 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But like what like Star Trek and then all this other stuff that he's been involved with, like where it was either cut short or never came out. Like, why does he keep going for property stuff? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Why not just make another show that's your show? I guess.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
If he's got such a strong vision, go and I guess so. This is something that I will maybe have a little bit of sympathy for. Just creatives in general.
Who knows? Maybe he's a super passionate guy and he just says, you know, he can't. He might not be a jerk about it. Maybe he's just like, I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know him personally. I get a little frustrated with stuff like that.
I get it.
And I lost it.
I'm sorry. No, but I think what's funny is you and I both talked about this. I don't think on the show when it was announced, and like there's that meme of that guy who's like the first picture of him is he's like, and the second picture is like, you know what I'm talking about? That one meme? Yeah.
Yes.
He's super overjoyed, and then he's like super sad.
Yes.
And it was like, you know, Friday the 13th show, Crystal Lake coming to Peacock, and it was the smile face for us.
Yeah.
And it was like, Bryan Fuller is the showrunner, and we're both like, because in the back of our minds, it was like, I like Bryan Fuller. Like, I like the stuff that he has done that I've seen.
I know he's a fan of Friday the 13th.
But also, as soon as I see that name, I go, this ain't happening.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like Guillermo del Toro, like with as a director for a long time there, where it was like every 5 seconds, it was like he's attached to this. I'm like, that's
not going to happen.
No.
So I guess that's what I mean. It's tough for me to get invested in anything he's a part of at this point. And now he's kind of like muddled up 2 of my favorite properties. Oh, that's where I was going. So sorry. I do have some sympathy for him and pretty much anybody in general right now with just the IP mania that's out there. Because you know what? If you want to make some money in Hollywood at this point and you are a name, like you have to find a way to attach yourself to an IP, I think, at this point, really.
You're right.
So, like, I do get it in that sense. And I know he's a fan as well. But like,
yeah. In this instance, yes.
These studios now are just pumping these IPs. And it is tough to try to break through to a bigger audience right now, if that's what you want to do. And it seems like that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe he would be best to, like, I don't know, make a movie. You know what I will say? I guess I should give him this. He produced that Queer for Fear documentary that's on Shudder. That is excellent. So he did get that through, and I think that's a very good documentary, a 6-part documentary, I believe, that's on Shudder now. So there you go, Bryan Fuller. Yes, you were great there. That's a great stuff. You got that made. Good. Now, speaking of pumping IP.
And we're just sad because it's another blow.
Thank you.
Anyway, let's...
any final words about Crystal Lake?
No, I mean, like many potential Friday the 13th projects in whatever form, movies, shows, video games, I will forever wonder what it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just be I'm kind of numb at this point.
That's the thing is I sent it to you and I just texted you LOL when I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I get the legal stuff and all. I get that, but like we're sorted now, right?
No. So let's talk about the Jason universe now, because this was announced today. I'm gonna pull up. So this was an IGN exclusive. I have the Bloody Disgusting story on this, so I think I'll just read it off. This is John Squires of Bloody Disgusting. I think he does a good job of kind of sorting through this. Well, we wait to see what happens with A24 and Peacock's planned Friday the 13th TV series.
Nothing.
Crystal Lake, currently undergoing a showrunner change. Horror Inc., which is which side is that?
This would be Sean Cunningham.
This is Cunningham. Has announced Jason Universe. that makes sense now that this is the Sean Cunningham
because
side
they
of
don't
things.
have Friday the 13th. Well,
Yes.
they do.
And this is such a Cunningham huckster move. As announced, Jason Universe via an exclusive report from IGN this afternoon, which is said to be the dawning of a, quote, new era from the original owners of the
Hold
Friday
on
the
a second
13th
now, though. Hold on. Here's the funny thing, all right? I don't know if you recall, but the origin story for Friday the 13th was them essentially putting out an ad in a newspaper. There was no script, no plot. It was literally just, it's a horror movie called Friday the 13th, and with like a phone number or like a contact to try and get investors interested. There was no plan.
Yes.
Notice how this shit gets announced
Yeah.
with no real actual information behind it. Like the day after the news hits, or like the week after the news hits about this A24th. It's hysterical. It's classic. Classic Cunningham.
What does this mean, you ask? Yes, I do ask.
Yes, I'd like to know.
IGN details in their surprising report today, new Friday the 13th activations will span a ride.
What does that mean?
I don't know. This is either put together by AI or like not the story. The details
Press
from
release.
Horror Inc.
Yeah.
Yes. Activations will span a wide range of platforms from entertainment, games, immersive experiences, merchandise, and more to be announced throughout 2024. So you're right. They do they have some things percolating, but they have nothing finalized, and
zero.
they're going to.
They're trying to strike while the iron's hot. Look, hey, Victor Miller ain't getting it done. Now look what we're doing. That's basically what it is.
So for decades, Jason shocked and thrilled audiences who kept coming back for more. We are excited to work with Victor Miller and Mark Toboroff on new projects we'll announce in the coming months.
So they are working with Victor Miller.
Interesting. Yes, said Robert Barsmanian, president of Horror Inc.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, we're focused on honoring the legacy while elevating the fan experiences and appealing to today's horror audiences in new ways as we develop new ways to watch, interact, and engage with the Jason universe. Absolutely. When I think of the Friday the 13th movies, I'm I don't call them Friday. I call them the Jason universe.
Here's what I will say. There have been talks for a while now about a new Friday the 13th video game that's been in development apparently for a while by a higher budget team than what we got. Because that game did really well.
Yeah.
And I think
yes,
bigger game studios saw that and are probably like, okay,
yeah. And here's what Squires goes on to say at the end. I'm going to skip to the end here. From what we gather, they will be joining forces for the Jason universe. Means the team has access to any and all existing elements of the Friday the 13th franchise. Same goes for the Crystal Lake series, which all three are involved in, but it doesn't mean they can make any new Friday movies. And I think the reason behind the movie side of things is, I think what I read is New Line is somehow still involved with the rights there, which is weird. I didn't even know New Line still existed, to be honest with you.
It's weird because the only thing that Victor Miller has the rights to are the U.S. rights to the first movie,
right?
Or to the script for the. So it's so weird.
So whatever.
But it sounds like Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham's people are fine.
Well, at this point,
they all want to make money.
They have to be at this point, right?
Yeah.
So whatever the rights, we're not getting a new movie. And what's frustrating about this as a fan is I think that's the only thing we want. I'll watch a TV series, but it's not my first choice of.
I'm happy that we'll probably get new action figures finally because they had to stop. The NECA had to stop doing them after Part 7. We never got because I want a Jason Takes Manhattan one. I want the gross, black, slimy, Tarman-looking Jason. They stopped making those. I'd like to see, a NECA Jason X and stuff. So that will probably be able to happen, I think, now.
Right.
A new video game, sure. Why not? Yeah, cool. I'm down. But, I want a movie.
That's all we want.
I want to go to the theater on opening night. I would never go to a movie on opening night anymore.
Right.
But I will do it for that. Because I want to be there.
Yes.
So
so that's what we want, and the fans are not getting that. Now, this Crystal Lake, I'm with you. I'm with you. It feels...
I'm not saying Peacock's not going to make something, but whatever they're making is going to be nothing even remotely related to what
the video game side of things. I don't want another what do you call them, asymmetrical style game.
Yeah.
I've had that. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
I wish that, if that's the case, I just wish that would keep existing, unless they're releasing some sort of polish on that game, which I think takes away some of its charm. To be honest with you,
it was so much fun.
So like, sure, Jason. Apparently, the Jason Universe Twitter account is following one other account, and it's the Fortnite account. So it sounds like Jason will be Fortnite, which I can't get excited. Like, I don't play Fortnite. I'm not gonna pick up Fortnite.
I don't care.
I don't get no. Like, I'm not mad.
I got no hate for. I don't know anything about it.
Me neither.
Nothing. I know it's popular. And I know that they throw a bunch of like literally name a character, and they've been in Fortnite at this point.
And so I was thinking about this.
That's what I know.
Well, Michael Myers, was in it too.
Was he?
Yeah, the last Halloween, I think they released a Michael Myers
Ninja
skin.
Turtles were just in it.
Yeah. But I think this is the way we're talking here. I think is an issue that this franchise is going to run into, and it's kind of an issue that I think might be bubbling up for a lot of these older horror icons. Is like you and I are talking about this, where I'm going to be 40 soon, and very soon, and like I'm aging, and like I don't know what the hell Fortnite is, and I'm thinking like, how many kids know these Jason movies, and like are we getting to a point where like they're missing have they missed the boat on this? Have they missed the opportunity?
When's the last Friday the 13th movie that came out?
That's the other thing. 2008.
I mean,
we're talking like 15, 16 years now. He's not fresh in people's brains.
Kids that were born that year are almost graduating high school.
Right.
They've gone that long without. Now, I'm not saying that kids can't discover who Jason is. There's plenty of kids that go back, and just like we went back and watched movies from the 60s and 70s.
But we're seeing like
they can discover that stuff, but it's not.
Universal's been trying now for a few years to get these Universal monsters back up and running through various different styles of movies, and it's not connecting.
Because we went without so long that
yes. People don't,
because I'm not just going to run out and see any Dracula movie that they make.
Exactly, and like you have all these other Dracula movies out there that aren't Universal movies, and like you're right, it's not in people's minds. It's not. This is not a character. Like I think we might have. I'm worried we missed the moment here for Friday the 13th. The longer and longer this goes on, it's kind of the same thing with Freddy. Like I don't know if. The
thing is, they squabbled for so long about this, and I get it. I understand there's a lot on the line. I'm not trying to disparage either party here. I get it. They spent so much time squabbling in an effort to get what they deemed was thought was theirs, that I do think that they're going to wind up. It's going to cost them in the long run.
Me too.
Because it's not. It's. I would not be shocked if at some point, if this. If the Crystal Lake thing doesn't work out, which I don't think it's going to, the show.
Right.
And this Jason universe doesn't blow up the world, which I don't think it's going to. Because if you don't have a movie behind it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That needs to be your flagship thing. I think at some point, they're just going to... I think that both parties will just go, we got to sell the rights and just...
And move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is...
And it might be a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Like the immersive experience reads to me like they're gonna have a Horror Nights house, like a haunted house at Horror Nights, and that's cool and whatever. But like that's another not.
It doesn't mean anything.
No, and like I can see that because like they've gotten in with Universal because Peacock is Comcast Universal,
and that's great. That's great.
But you know what? Universal Studios is probably hoping like, hey, maybe we could tie it to that show that was supposed to come out like this year. But anyway, so I can see that. But like you're right. A lot of the stuff reads like. It just reads like nonsense corporate speak.
It is.
Activations.
Because it is.
What is
it? It means nothing.
Yeah, we're going to blue sky this and come back to it later. Like, what are we talking about?
They're trying to make some money off the property because they lost a lot in court, I'm sure. Both sides.
Yes.
That's what it amounts to. I mean, I don't... It's too bad that the franchise feels dead at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Minus, like, old heads like me and you who will occasionally buy a Friday the 13th t-shirt, like, it doesn't feel like it's a thing. It just doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the creators killed it, so.
People recognize Jason, they like Jason, but I don't.
Yeah, it's an iconic thing, but it's.
I think it's going to be, I'm not saying, I think it's going to take some work to get him back.
Yes. I think, however, you know what, if Jason can't pull it off, I think it's Roy's time to shine.
Absolutely. This is what we were kind of excited about for that TV series. Is maybe we could get an episode focused on Roy.
Dude, I want the Nikki and Paolo Roy episode, like that weird one where you're like,
that kind of Twilight Zone
that I kind of love. Yeah, give me that.
Any last words on the show or Jason Universe?
None of it makes sense. The whole thing is just kind of a bummer to me.
Me too.
And I just want to be happy.
Me too.
And that doesn't make me happy. So,
ready to jump in this time machine?
Let's do it, man.
We're going back a little over 10 years now to March 8th, 2014.
That's right.
You got a time machine noise for me for the guest? Absolutely.
Gunshots, because there's a lot of shooting in this.
I've got a quick time machine segment here. This played at South by Southwest 2014, the convention. At that convention, there were some panels, a virtual conversation with Edward Snowden, and then a panel called "Is Bitcoin the Future of Money?" So there you go. The keynote speaker at that panel was Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga. You
got a favorite Gaga song?
Oh, yeah, I do.
Which one?
Alejandro.
Fuck yeah!
It's so good.
Hell yeah! Okay, sorry. I thought you were gonna.
Didn't expect that, did you?
No, I thought you were gonna throw out like Born This Way or whatever. No, Alejandro. You're right.
No,
I'm kind of excited for that. Do you ever see The Joker?
No.
Divorced from all of the ridiculous hype and this is the most demented movie ever stuff. I actually kind of liked it. I liked The Joker.
I will watch it at some point. Yeah, I have nothing against it. I just haven't watched it.
I was just curious if you had seen it.
I'll have to check it out. Yeah, I like Gaga. What's your favorite Gaga song?
Well, no, it's Alejandro. I think you're right. Like, I forgot about that, but like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's a good song.
The other one that's good is the Josie's favorite is Bloody Mary. It's very good.
Okay.
I can't sing it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I won't cry for you.
That had like a so that had like a comeback a couple years ago on like
it was
TikTok.
on Wednesday, I think.
Yeah, and it was like a TikTok thing.
Yeah,
because they would play it and they'd like the Bloody Mary.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. Other movies that played in that fest that may be of interest to us. 2014, What We Do in the Shadows, Creep, Stage Fright, which is a it's a horror comedy musical, Starry Eyes, the Linklater movie Boyhood, the Veronica Mars movie Grand Budapest Hotel, and Chef. So that was what the guest was playing with around that time.
So that's funny. This is like peak. I feel like this is peak Midwest Film Nerds time,
I think
right?
we would have been a couple of years away from this podcast, and we would have been. Yeah, we would have
right
been
in the midst of
Because I think we probably covered a couple of those.
I feel like we talked about Chef at some point.
I feel like we did too.
Yeah, I wasn't on it, but
yeah. You like any of those movies I named? I like quite a few of them, but you got a favorite of that crap?
Man, I don't know.
What We Do in the Shadows, Creep, Starry Eyes, on the horror side of things.
Man, I really like What We Do in the Shadows. Some of the show has managed to trump the movie, though.
I think so too. Yeah.
Which is really impressive. I really like Starry Eyes. I'm gonna go with Starry Eyes.
You know what? I agree with you. I like Creep a lot too.
Yeah, that's the Subway one, right? No, that's the Duplass one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that too. I did not like the second one as much.
Okay.
It was fine, but I just I didn't need a second one, so I was kind of like, eh. I'm gonna go Starry Eyes.
I think I'm gonna go Starry Eyes as well.
I got a big crush on
the lead actress.
Alex Esso. Oh yeah. Plus, it's a sweet movie.
It is very good. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's kind of I don't even want to say it's forgotten, but I don't hear as much talk about it as I did around that time.
It had some hype behind it when it came out, but
it's kind of faded in some ways, and I think it's.
I wonder why.
I think it's worth a revisit if you haven't seen it. I'm sure that feels like it's on Tubi somewhere, or yeah.
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
All right, so we're talking about The Guest, which also played South by Southwest. A soldier introduces himself to the Peterson family, claiming to be a friend of their son who died in action. After the young man is welcomed into their home, a series of accidental deaths seem to be connected to his presence. This is written and directed. It's directed by Adam Wingard, written by Simon Barrett. This stars Dan Stevens, Sheila Kelly, and Micah Monroe, and a host of others who we will talk about here in a little bit.
It is indeed on Tubi. Just so you know. Starry Eyes. Yes. Sorry. Wanted to make sure.
We're going to revisit. I think we're going to revisit Barrett and Wingard especially. I got a fun little game to play at the end of this.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Yep.
But we're going to. I texted you today. We're going to free ball this one. I don't want to go through the plot. I almost kind of want to try to free ball from now on again.
Yeah.
See if we can do it.
Let's. Yeah. We've been doing plot for a long time. Let's mix it up. So,
thoughts on this?
Hey, here's the thing. If you check out our recent Tiny Terror, or upcoming Tiny Terror.
A Tiny Terror that is out now for Patreon subscribers at
Thank you.
Midwest.net.
Yes.
I
always forget the release schedule because
Yes.
you put everything out there, so I'm always like,
it will be out next week.
Okay,
But yes,
excellent.
if you want it now,
yes,
you can have it now.
you will hear about a project we enjoyed that does nostalgia right. There's a lot of nostalgia out there. The nostalgia thing's been going on for since the dawn of time, I think, honestly. But like, it's become more prevalent in the last couple decades. I feel like where we're really trying to harken back in a lot of ways to the good old days, whatever those good old days were. Now we're in the '90s. We're starting to kind of, we're like mid to late '90s where we're starting to
Like a lot of the nostalgia stuff is like passing me out. We're
new,
like getting to the point
new
where,
metal is back.
like we're about to hit the point where I'm like, you're nostalgic for that? That kind of sucked. Like I thought that kind of sucked.
Yeah, yes. Now we can go back and be like, really? Anyway, so but new metal was sweet.
Absolutely. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Mudvayne's on tour right now. Let's go.
Are they on tour?
Yeah.
I know Slipknot is doing their.
They have a new song coming out on Sunday, apparently.
Oh, do they?
I'm ready. Let's go. That one album we reviewed on here was sweet.
Yes, that
was good.
So there wasn't their most recent one. Their most recent one is kind of fine, but that one,
The most recent one was okay.
"We Are Not Your Kind," I think
was
is the one.
good,
That
yeah.
I think is like really good modern Slipknot. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, sorry. Much like X-Men '97, which we discuss on that episode. This is nostalgia done right. A lot of young filmmakers, and I think Adam Wingard at this, when he made The Guest, was probably in his mid to late 20s.
I would guess, and he had I think really just the VHS movie, like some segments in the VHS.
He had done Your Next
and Your Next, yes, yep. Because Blair Witch came after, Death Note came after, and the Kong movies obviously came after, Godzilla movie. Yeah.
So there is, when you look at genre directors from this
I'm
time
mistaken.
period,
He had done A Horrible Way to Die as well. At this point.
that's
Sorry.
right,
Yes. Okay.
when you look at genre directors from this kind of generation of filmmakers, Wingard's a good example, and somebody who's actually he's worked with in the past, Ty West, is another example. They are both directors that feed off of nostalgia, feed off of the era and the genres that they grew up watching and loved and adored, and that made them want to be filmmakers. And I think that both of them are two of these very successful examples of filmmakers that have made films that harken back to a time period, to an era of the horror genre that they adore, without feeling like they are trying to copy it, and without feeling like they are trying to pander to an audience that wants movies like that again. And I think at House of the Devil, which we talked about, go check out our episode on House of the Devil, Ty West's. That's a really nice, that harkens back to me at that 70s style, that like kind of post Rosemary's Baby, like Satanic Panic stuff. Like it just has a vibe, the look of the movie. This one is, I think, even more unique because the plot, the pacing, the performances, the characterizations all feel very 80s. The score feels very 80s. It's got a very this feels like it could be like an early James Cameron film in a lot of ways, which is kind of fun. Like it feels like it's of the same ilk of as like the Terminator.
The first Terminator.
The first Terminator. Or even movies like Split Second with Rutger Hauer, or like there's a certain vibe about those movies. Those like they're action films, but they're not. But the action star is the villain,
right?
And those really only happen in the 80s. Like, there's not a lot of examples of that afterwards that I can think of, where like your big scary muscular bound lead is actually the bad guy, and the character, like your protagonists are the ones that are like, in this case, like scrawny teenagers. Like there's,
just real quick, and the other thing
Yeah.
I think to touch on too with the Terminator is a good example.
Yeah.
It's a smaller movie.
Yes.
Like it's not a big bombastic movie, but
Right.
the ideas kind of on the outskirts of the film and the plot are bigger. And I think
Yes.
this is similar in that way because it is a smaller movie. There's not a ton of
No.
like it's made on the cheap, a lot of it, but there are some ideas on it that hint at a bigger world, kind of like the Terminator.
Yes, and that to me that's very 80s too. I feel like there was a lot of that, like, well, and yeah, I love films like that are able to live within their budgetary like constraints and still make a compelling, smaller scale story, but make you interested in what the bigger picture, what's out there beyond, what else is in this universe, this cinematic universe. So he's able to kind of give me the same feelings I had watching movies like that original Terminator, or like even some of the slasher movies from that era. But it has a modern sheen on it. It's not doing anything like trying to be grainy or do like any sort of like old school filmmaking technique stuff. It feels like a movie made in the year it's made in, but technically, but the vibe is very, I think it's a nice marriage of the two things. It's slick enough to stand up to any modern film, I think, but it really has those sensibilities of films from the 1980s. And I like that marriage a lot. And I think Wingard has proven that he can... He's a smart filmmaker. He's proven he can find that really, really nice balance between those two things. So,
and I think in a lot of ways, I think and you can tell in this movie, he's a populist filmmaker too. Like
sure.
he's making movies for a mainstream audience.
And I like populist filmmakers.
Me too. I think Your Next has that too. Yeah. And I think you can see a lot of that DNA in the Godzilla movies now,
sure.
the Godzilla and Kong movies.
Do you ever, you have not seen the new one yet, right?
No, not yet.
Did you like Godzilla versus Kong?
I did a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked that quite a bit. And I have a feeling I'm going to like this one. You know, I'm to be honest with you, I have liked, looking over that, I've liked all of Wingard's movies. So
I don't think I've seen A Horrible Way to Die.
Okay. Have you seen the Blair Witch he did?
Yes.
The Blair Witch I liked a lot. I feel like that was a movie that came out about 10 years maybe or 8 years too early.
Yeah.
And I think they're rebooting it, and I think now is probably the right time to reboot it.
I think you'd have more hype. And they did that weird surprise release thing too.
Yep.
I don't know if that helped it.
I want to I want to build on something too that you mentioned that you're talking about with the kind of the filmmakers and nostalgia. Now, what I'm going to say is going to come across as a slight to some directors that I really like. But in the 2000s, I look back very fondly on this time period, this 2010s, like early to mid 2010s period in horror. I'm starting to look back on it very fondly. And part of the reason is because I think a lot of these movies that we talked about, and I've got some of the other movies in the class of 2014, but some of those movies that played South by Southwest, a lot of that kind of led to this podcast like existing because you and I would like talk about like how cool some of these movies were. Like this,
you're right.
Yeah. And also a lot of these filmmakers around that time have graduated into what I think are important pieces of kind of the horror boom we've been having mainstream in the past couple of years.
Well, and what's funny is I'm glad you mentioned that because you have I remember revisiting House of the Devil because you were not the biggest fan of that film initially or Ty West's stuff in general, and you really enjoyed it and you're like, man, it's actually pretty okay. Like,
yes.
It's cool. Like looking back now that we're removed from some of this, and I've revisited some stuff from this period too and gone, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Anyway, continue.
So where I was going was like the 2000, like there are some filmmakers before. I'm thinking Adam Green, Eli Roth, Rob Zombie, who kind of come to a head as like that generation before this generation we're talking about.
Type.
The Splat Pack type, who have made some movies that I really like.
Yeah, sure.
And in some cases love. But I will say one of the criticisms lobbed at them and one that I think is legit is they were too reliant on nostalgia at times. And too reliant on references, I don't want to say Family Guy-esque in a lot of ways, but like Member Berry style references to old horror movies they loved.
Can I use an example?
Absolutely.
Adam Green, right? I like Adam Green a lot.
We talked very glowingly of Frozen.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Look at Hatchet and the sequels to Hatchet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's a throwback to old school slashers. You got Kane Hodder in the role of Victor Crowley, right? So that right there. But much like what Rob Zombie, as another example, is doing is like if you look at the cast of those Hatchet movies or most Rob Zombie movies, it's just cast anybody who has any sort of genre, like, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Genre weight behind them.
Street cred, yeah.
Street cred. Just cast them regardless of whether or not they're right for any particular role. Just do it. Because
that's
it's
fun.
Cool. That's fun, but it's also there's a little bit of either, I don't know if it's like pandering to your audience. It's a mixture of pandering to your audience and also I think just kind of like a little bit masturbatory sometimes. Like, hey, I got to cast so and so. You know, like I got Linnea Quigley in my movie. Like, okay,
cool, yeah,
sweet.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
But
maybe don't complain when that doesn't break through to a wider audience beyond
they don't
just
care.
me. Yes. Yeah.
Now, when you do what Wingard did here, and I recognize he's not the only person making these decisions, but you get somebody like a Dan Stevens who is coming off of a run on Downton Abbey, which was hugely popular at the time. I mean, like massively popular, and he left that show during like the height of the show, wanting to do other stuff. Like, casting somebody like that in this role is kind of a gamble, but it's the right move. Like, very smart stuff, I think, from Wingard in that respect. Like, and they've reteamed now, so that's fun.
Yeah. So, absolutely. So that's what I'll say is I think this generation around this time does a better job of marrying their influences with kind of modern sensibilities, and I think Wingard is an example of that. I think Mike Flanagan, who was making kind of lower budget stuff around this time, is a very good example of that. And I think we'll talk. Ty West is a good example of that, especially now. I think Ty West is really, for me, I think he's grown greatly as a filmmaker.
He has.
In a lot of aspects. Yeah. So,
did you like The Sacrament? We've talked about that a little bit, I think.
You know what? I do like The Sacrament.
Yeah.
The one I don't like, and I just have never warmed to, is the Innkeepers.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't like the Innkeepers. Yeah. I want to talk about this cast, though, because you've touched on it. I mean, we should start with Dan Stevens.
Yeah.
I might make the argument there is a more important member of this cast. Maybe not. This whole movie rests on Stevens, I think. Well, not the whole movie. I think Stevens is the showiest performance in a lot of ways.
This performance, though, needs to work.
Yeah.
Because you need to find somebody who has that allure and that kind of... you need the sexy scary, right?
The thing with Stevens, though, too, is like he is kind of like the boy next door kind of too. Like he's
not. Yeah,
he's
right.
He's not like intimidatingly like attractive.
He's not Brad Pitt at his height, right? Like he's not like, but he's a good looking dude. He's jacked, right? They've been a big deal.
But he's also not like The Rock jacked.
No.
Right.
No. He's in good shape.
He's in good shape. Yep.
He looks like a soldier, like a soldier. Or an athlete. So he's got a charm about him. Like he's got a certain like a cadence, and he's got a way of he could win the girl's mom over. You know what I mean? Like he's got that kind of like that. Yeah. But then he could do certain things with his performance where with his eyes in particular, that you go, okay, we're in that mode now. Like we're out of.
Yeah,
we're out. He's not trying to.
There's a moment in the movie where he's trying to kind of like butter up a character.
A lot of that.
Yes, and she's kind of not buying it, and then his eyes go like
change, and
like
it's so
dead.
good.
He's so good. Dan Stevens is, and not just in this movie, but like in general, I love what Dan Stevens shows. Like he's awesome,
dude. Like how has he not been cast in like a major thing?
I do think he's drawn to kind of oddball roles,
which is awesome. I honestly keep doing it. Like I'm not like,
what is the most mainstream thing he's done? Probably The Beauty and the Beast.
He did the Beauty and the Beast
remake. Yeah,
which I didn't like, but
no, he's good in it though.
He's good in it.
Yeah.
I guess Godzilla now is a pretty big.
But even in that, isn't he playing kind of like a weird?
He's playing a goofball. Yeah. And then what else did he do? That was he did Legion.
Yeah.
For Noah Hawley, which I haven't watched it.
I cannot believe I have not watched that either because it's an X-Men show. Yes, with Dan Stevens.
I should watch that.
Yes.
Anyway,
I'm looking right now.
Aubrey Plaza plays
Downton Abbey. I guess Downton Abbey is, but
she plays.
Oh God, he's in. Did you ever see Eurovision with Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams?
Yes,
he's in that too.
That's awesome.
It's a good. Yeah, it's a fun movie. But yeah, even that. Oh, you know what? Oh, remember Apostle?
Oh my God,
dude, Apostle.
That I'm rewatching that soon. Oh my God, have we covered that on the show?
We talked about it a little bit when it came out. Before we put it on the list, I want to make sure we haven't done an episode. I think we talked about it.
We'll
but
have
not
to
a full-on episode.
Perhaps put that on deck. God, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, okay.
So yes, he's David in this movie.
Yes.
Now he plays him essentially like someone with cyborg programming in this movie. Now
he's a Terminator. But not a robot. That's the thing.
Okay, that's because there were theories around the time. You don't think he's a cyborg?
So
the idea I think he's been conditioned, brainwashed, whatever. By
the original, there's stuff that's left out of. There were cuts made to the movie that involved explaining what happened to his character. I believe it was explained by the general or whatever in charge of the whole program to Micah Monroe's character about how this is what happened, blah, blah. Supposedly he got wounded, his spine was broken or something, and they repaired it with some sort of mechanical thing, but it cut out his pain receptors, so he can't feel actual physical pain, which explains a lot in the movie. Because he's getting beat up and he's like, eh. I love that they cut all that out because I don't really need to know. I'm good. There's also some people that theorize that he is the brother, but I'm I don't know how that works.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Yeah, not getting that.
Yeah,
but I love that we can talk about these things though.
Yes.
That's fun.
And
I prefer that.
It's not overexplained, and I think they do in an interview mention that they worried about it being overexplained. And I like that.
It takes the mystique away.
Yes.
Yeah, and you need mystique for this character and for this kind of this plot about who is the stranger that just showed up at our doorstep. So yeah, there is
one character or one performance that I think may be as important as Dan Stevens in this movie.
Okay, you make a face when you're joking, but
sorry, it's just I'm being serious.
You've got to tell, okay,
yes.
And you kind of made it, so I was like, okay, is
you
he?
think I'm the husband? No, not.
I thought you were going to.
He's really fun at this. I can't remember his name.
Yes, he's in so much stuff.
No, Micah Monroe.
She's great.
Yeah, and she plays this part really well.
Yes.
Because in a different movie, she may have fallen for this guy or have been, but she's kind of onto him from the beginning.
Yes, and I love that. But also, she's not. What I like about her character and her performance in this movie is she feels human. Mm-hmm. She does not feel like the final girl. Which
is essentially what she is.
She is,
because this is kind of a slasher movie.
Absolutely, she is the final girl, but she does not feel like that stereotype of the final girl, which is fun because once again we talked about how Wingard is kind of, I think, drawing from a lot of those movies. Even Terminator has a final girl.
It feels a little bit. So the other movie,
Linda Hamilton is the final girl in that.
It's a Halloween movie. It takes place during Halloween.
Yes.
It feels like Halloween a little bit too.
It does. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of Terminator, a lot of Halloween. There's for sure.
A little bit of Stepfather thrown in.
Yeah, absolutely. But she feels real. She is not the cookie cutter, virginal, perfect. I don't smoke or do drugs or anything. All of that's covered in the film.
She seems like the girl you went to high school with that is still hanging out in your home or in your hometown.
Yeah. She's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get along with her. She's cool. But what I like about what you mentioned is she doesn't fall for him for his crap. she's like the one person who really doesn't actually.
Leland Orser is the guy. Sorry.
Yeah, I love him so much.
Sorry,
He's always panicking in movies. It's great. He's a great freak out actor. But she does have like she is a young 20-something straight girl. So like when he comes out of the shower with the towel around, she's eyeing him up because she's like, all right,
right.
I wouldn't say no, but she's not like
she's not getting the vapors.
No, exactly.
Which is kind of what you in a movie like this. Sometimes you kind of expect that to happen.
You do expect that, but I love that they don't do that. Like they don't shy away from the fact that like she's interested in who this guy is, but she also is going, something's not adding up here. She's her character is smart and she plays the character smart, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and she's going to have a very fun career. She's got a movie coming out in a couple of weeks, I think, or maybe a month or so, called Long Legs. That is directed by Osgood Perkins, who is a filmmaker that I would like to like.
Perkins, yeah.
Yeah, his movies have left me kind of cold, but he's the son of Anthony Perkins, I believe.
It's true. Yeah.
But the trailer, I watched it, and it looks really cool, and
Nice.
I'm pulling for it. But she was also in she was It Follows, right?
Before this,
yes,
I believe, right?
Same year, actually.
Same year,
yeah.
So she was also. I just saw her in a movie called The Watcher.
The Watcher, yep.
On Netflix, I think.
Yes.
Or maybe Hulu. It's on a streaming platform. And she's very good in it. I like the movie overall. Yeah, it's worth a watch.
I liked that movie too. I didn't love it.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
Yes, I'm trying to.
But
she was in that.
Sure.
She was in that new Independence Day too. She was in a movie. Oh, I'm sorry. She was in a movie that I want you to check out, and I want you to go in blind if you. Whenever you get Paramount Plus again. If that.
Okay.
It's called Significant Other, and it stars the dude from I think the later seasons of The Office. And what I want you to do is to go in blind to this one, because it looks like you can watch it on like Prime and stuff too for a rental. I'm not necessarily sure it's ever a rental. If it pops up on any Jake Lacy, what was he? Was he in the later seasons of The Office? I can't remember who he played. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and it takes some twists and turns.
I will watch this 100%.
Yes.
No
so, the last member that I think I want to... The supporting cast is a lot of fun in this movie. The last member of the supporting cast I want to talk about with you is a gentleman who comes in later, the late Lance Reddick.
Oh, man. Lance Reddick. Yeah.
Lance Reddick is a guy who... So originally, I knew him from... He showed up on Lost.
He played Matthew Abaddon.
Yes.
One of the many creepy characters that pops up in the show, and you're like, who's this guy? And then just kind of doesn't do much.
He's a perfect example. He was also on Fringe, I believe.
He was on Fringe for a while.
Yes. So maybe
yes.
it was Fringe after Lost or before Lost?
It was concurrent, but started after, I believe.
Fringe, okay, that makes sense, because Fringe feels like a show, and it's a show I liked. But
it got greenlit because of Lost, I think. Yes.
Yep. But
I had to watch that. I've never seen Fringe.
I don't think I ever finished it. I kind of want to go back and finish it. I think Alex may have.
It's pretty good.
I'll talk to Alex. The first couple seasons were good.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
I don't know where it goes from after that. I kind of fell off. It's one of those shows that kind of fell off. But he has a smaller role on Lost.
Yeah, he does. Important.
But
yeah.
That's a good example of him, because it's the way he talks. His voice is great. The way he moves, there's a rigidity to him, I think, too.
Yeah.
He carries himself with authority.
He's got a good look too. He just looks good.
Yeah,
he's got like
yeah.
He's got one of those faces you like. As soon as he's on screen, you're like, oh, who's this dude? He must be important. Like, we saw him at a convention.
Yes,
he was like jacked though.
He recently passed a couple years ago. I think. Yeah. But yeah, we saw him before he passed, and yeah, because I remember you and I going like, "Whoa, like that's a good looking dude."
Like I'm a straight man.
Yeah.
Like I'm like 2% gay, I guess. Like where I can I'm gay enough to admit when a guy is attractive, and I'm like, yeah, it's a good looking dude.
We're like the milk. We're like 2%.
Yeah. I'll go with that. So I remember like being at that convention and going, holy shit, Lance Reddick's looking good, man.
He's like striking presence.
He had a sick turtleneck on, if I remember right. Yeah. But he was Wesker in the Resident Evil Netflix
He's
show.
the best part of that show. Did you watch that show?
No, never watched
I
it.
watched that whole show,
Yeah.
and it was because of him.
Was it good?
No. There's a part of me that liked it because of it's not good, but it's
Was he good?
He is very good at it.
I heard he shows up in the Wesker trench coat at one point,
Yeah.
like the leather.
So
I don't have that one, but
it's
yeah.
I have as you know, I have a soft spot for CW shows, WBCW
feels
shows.
very.
It's very much in line with those. I don't watch it unless like you have the time and you are a completist, but he is good. I also remember him from The Wire. On that show, he plays kind of like throughout
that's right.
the 4 or 5 seasons on that.
He's a crime boss type guy, right?
No, he's kind of like the he is
Who am I thinking of?
he's like the kind of the principled he's like who
am I thinking of then?
you're thinking of Elba, I think. Idris Elba
plays yeah, that's right.
some
Okay.
really good actors on that show, but
I had the whole series. I got to watch that too.
yeah, but he showed up in the John Wick movies later on. Yep. So
I always like Lance. He's one of those guys like I was introduced through Lost, but anytime he showed up in something, I was like, yeah, Lance Reddick, sweet. Like
in this movie, yeah. I'm like, oh, sick, Lance Reddick.
I forgot he was in this.
Pops up in this movie. Me too. Yeah, because he pops up halfway through, and he is Lance Reddick in this movie.
He rules.
He's, a commanding presence in this, and you believe him. Maybe not. You maybe don't trust him, but you believe what he's saying is something true. You know what I mean? So
you can never get it. Like I like the fact that they do not make him cartoonishly like villainous, but they also don't make him like the good guy authority figure. You never really get a clear picture of who he is.
Right.
Which I like. That's better. Yeah.
I've got some more. The music we touched on.
Yes.
Not just the score, but the actual music in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The source music, if you will. The music is done by Steve Moore. Like the score is done by Steve Moore, and it's very synthy.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. It's a throwback to the 80s, and this is something that I did get a little bit worn out on around this time, is like every score was like a synthy. Like
they were very Carpenter inspired or Goblin inspired or
Halloween 3 is probably a good touch point for this.
They use the same synthesizer that Howarth and Carpenter used for.
Is that what it is?
Yes,
okay.
It's the same exact synthesizer. Yep.
What I do like about the score, though, and this especially, is that I think it works really well with the kind of the 80s goth rock. Yeah. And this is another point in this movie's favor about nostalgia is, so like Stranger, I really like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
But the music choices are a little bit obvious, and I dig that about the show because it's a big budget.
I always thought that until they played a piece of score from Day of the Dead.
Fair enough, yeah.
And I was like, all right, I agree. Lots of not a ton of deep cuts here, but
right.
At least they've got some ear for
But what I dig about this is like the nostalgic pieces of music are like 80s goth rock music.
Yeah, there's like weird, like kind of like there's some German bands and stuff.
Yes, there's a band called I think it's Wingard or Barrett in an interview talked about like they're inspired by like Death in June and Christian Death, like these bands. So like it's cool. Like the needle drops are like they feel unique.
Modern too though in some weird way. Like I cannot tell you, like I know obviously when they're from now, but like listening to the film's soundtrack and score, I was like, is this older stuff or newer? Like I don't even know. Like it was cool.
I think this is a quote from Love and Rockets was another band, I think. But I think this is a quote from Wingard in an interview. If not, it's from Barrett. But it's a great quote that I highlighted. They say, my initial interest in 80s goth came from a group of pot and mescaline dealers out in Alabama. They were all gothed out all the time, and they exposed me to bands like Christian Death for the first time. Initially, upon my read of the script, I knew I wanted to play off their inspiration, especially when it came to the music taste of the Micah Monroe characters. So,
oh, my God.
But what a great way to explain your inspirations, that it was pot and mescaline dealers.
You know what? Find your inspirations where
Bama.
You can. It's beautiful.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, man. Look,
the third act. Any favorite moments?
The bar fight's really great because that's the first moment where you go, "Oh my God, this guy is like
something different."
Even though he's doing something, I guess that it could be considered kind of not heroic, but he's helping one of our protagonists, right? He's being the good guy. These bullies need to be put in their place. It goes far enough to where you're like, this is not right. Like, there's something. That's your first real, beyond initial kind of suspicion. That's your first real like glimpse into something's very wrong with this guy. Yeah.
He also drinks they call it a fireball shot.
Yeah.
In this, is it a prairie fire? Have you ever had prairie fire where it's tequila and Tabasco?
I have not, but I think that's what this was.
That's what this was.
So Fireball became popular after this film, I think. Fireball, the whiskey.
The whiskey? Yeah.
I do believe. I don't think it was Fireball that he threw in their eyes.
It was the name of the drink.
Correct.
That is what I know is a prairie fire.
Yes.
I had a prairie fire.
I have not had a prairie fire, I don't think.
It made me, my 21st birthday, it made me throw up in a coat room at the bar.
That sucks. So in your eyes, it would not feel good. You know what's good is I'm not a big whiskey guy. I'm just not. Do you like whiskey?
Yes.
I am not a whiskey guy, but I do like a shot of whiskey followed by a shot of pickle juice.
Interesting.
Pickleback.
Interesting.
It's delightful.
Okay. So here's the thing: is I'm not a pickle guy, but I would be interested in trying that out
because it cuts that bitterness of the whiskey. That kind of give it a shot. It's very good. Yeah.
So here's the game I wanted to play.
Let's do it
with you. We'll knock this out. I want to take a look back at some of the movies and directors from 10 years ago, 2014, the class of 2014. We'll get to Wingard and Barrett at the end, but I want to go through some of the movies that were released or at least in festivals this year,
all right.
And see whether we're going to say whether they've met, exceeded, or came in below expectations.
Okay.
For us.
Oh, man.
And I think,
all right.
So we're going to start with a movie that you mentioned earlier.
Ooh.
As Above, So Below, directed by John Eric Dowdle. He had directed Devil and Quarantine before. He's directed No Escape, which I think is like an Owen Wilson, Pierce Brosnan movie.
I've seen it.
Have you? Yes. And he's been directing a TV show called Joe Pickett, which I think is on like Paramount Plus. I think I've seen like advertisements for it.
So you're asking if this gentleman,
if this director has come in at your expectations since 2014, if your expectations after seeing As Above, So Below, and we'll get to more well-known people after, maybe like bigger names in the horror genre.
I would say he met my expectations.
I'm gonna go with you. It's not like I like that movie, but it's not like I saw it like this is the next voice.
Yeah, no, he's doing solid work. I think that's one of the better found footage movies from that era of there was a lot. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he met. Yeah,
I'm gonna go back.
That Owen Wilson movie is actually pretty good.
Is it? Okay.
I liked it.
Okay.
It's mildly racist.
Honestly,
well, it is, but it's pretty like in its plot, but it's pretty good. Yeah.
I'm someone who thinks that Devil and Quarantine are pretty good. Pretty good.
I like Quarantine. Okay. Devil's not very good.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna defend it.
That's the elevator one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's not very good.
The Babadook came out this year. This is directed by Jennifer Kent.
Oh my gosh.
Since then, she has directed a movie called The Nightingale and an episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosity on Netflix. So I'll take this one. I'll start this one. I'm going to say below because The Babadook was like a big thing, a big deal at the time. And you know what? I want to put this out there too. None of this may be the fault of the filmmakers we talk about, but she really hasn't done anything genre related. I'm going to go below, and that sounds a little mean, but
I'm going to go below as well. Yeah.
The Babadook feels
like a sensation.
What did you think of The Babadook?
I'm not a big fan, but
it feels though like
it was like a phenomenon,
and you felt like you were watching someone with a voice in horror absolutely. That was going to continue on, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah. I mean, I guess kind of strange. I don't
know. Creep. We talked a little bit about came out this year, directed by Patrick Bryce, who also directed Creep 2 and There's Someone Inside Your House, which was a Netflix slasher movie that I want to say I watched. I'm going to say he met expectations for me because This is about where I expected it. Creep's pretty good.
I mean, he made a sequel to Creep that I liked less than the first one, so that's Met. Yeah, we're gonna go Met. Yeah. There's someone inside your house. Gosh.
Did you see that one? I feel like if you bring this up and you look at it, I'm going to look at this right now, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to Google there's someone inside your house.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a...
Is that what it's called?
House. This was like a slasher movie, right?
There's someone inside your house.
My computer's... or my.
I have seen this. I liked it.
This is... Yeah. This is kind of like a teen slasher movie,
it's
right?
very much like a throwback. Yeah. We're going to go Met.
Met.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going Met on this one, too.
Yep.
All right, this is fun here. Clown, which is a movie directed by John Watts. John Watts has gone on to direct the 3 Cop Car and the 3 MCU Spider-Man movies. Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Right.
I don't know how...
We talked about Cop Car on the Midwest Film Nerds podcast.
We did. So maybe we'll use Cop Car because I have not seen Clown.
Just so you know. A Clown, yeah.
But I don't know how you can look at Clown and not go, John Watts has exceeded every expectation that I had.
Yeah.
Because not like he's a great filmmaker.
You cannot like the Spider-Man movies, like, at all. Like,
right.
And I like all 3 of them for different reasons, but none of them touch... Whatever, it doesn't matter. I like all 3 for various reasons, but like, yeah, no, he's exceeded. Like,
you can't like
dude,
Cop Car is a movie that I actually kind of like.
I still don't get though.
Oh no,
how he went from Cop Car to
this gentleman, John Watts, has directed 3 of the biggest movies of all time.
It's insane.
like that last one is like legitimately like a huge movie, directed by John Watts.
Yeah, it's nuts. He almost had the Fantastic Four gig.
Yes, he had it for a bit, didn't he? He fell off.
Do they have a director for that? Is it weird to you that they have like a cast, like picture essentially in costume with no director?
Do they not have a director?
Don't think so.
No, it's not weird. No.
It's pretty standard.
It's pretty. I mean, in this day and age, no. I mean, half of those movies are directed by Kevin Feige. I mean, come on.
That's true.
Devil's Due came out in 2014.
Yeah.
But do you know who directed that movie?
Who?
Radio Silence.
Oh my God!
This is another one.
Are you serious? Are you serious? There's no way.
So Devil's Due is a
They
movie.
did not direct that movie. That movie is. Remember how I mentioned As Above, So Below is a pretty solid.
Tyler Gillette and Matt.
Oh my God!
So this is Devil's Due is a bad film.
It's awful. It's embarrassingly bad.
This is the Zach Gilford, the dude from Friday Night Lights, QB1.
Holy smokes!
It is a terrible movie. These guys have gone on to direct like some movies that I really like, that I kind of love.
Yeah, Ready or Not's amazing.
Yeah.
I like both
Scream movies,
5 and 6.
Yes.
Yeah. And I really want to see Abigail. They directed that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I really want to see Abigail. By the way, do you want to go see In a Violent Nature?
Yeah, if it
or
comes
Off a Violent Nature?
Yeah, if it.
All right.
Yeah, if it comes out, I think it'll play the MJR. Hit me up on can you do a Tuesday night show for like $5? Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Okay.
Because I want to see it like in the theater, I think.
Yeah, me too. It looks interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, sorry. Exceeded. No
Exceeds,
question. I mean,
right?
Beyond. That movie is...
Because if I notice, like, transporting back, if I'm sitting there going, like, these directors need to be put in director jail immediately.
So bad. That one, I think of... What is the alien abduction one that's found footage that ends... Like, that's one... I think Mila Jovovich is in it, I think. Do you know what I'm talking about right now?
Google that one.
I'm going to look it up. But
which one ends... Is Devil's Due... Devil's Due is not the
go
one...
Go to this website.
Is Devil's Due the go to this website one?
100%.
Okay, so I'm going
I think, right?
Looking back on their career now and, like, that... Like, I do feel like maybe there was some interference on that one.
I'm sure there was, but it's still
a bad movie. Like you said, I would... like, watching that movie, I would not have gone, like, these guys are going to make some of my favorite modern... Like... mainstream horror
movies. The Fourth Kind. Oh my God!
Who directed that bad boy?
Let's see. The Fourth. I'll look it up.
All right, so the next one I have here is It Follows came out this year. That is directed by David Robert Mitchell, who since then has directed Under the Silver Lake in 2018 and nothing since. He is directing They Follow, or he's in pre-production on They Follow, the sequel to It Follows. And you know what? I am someone, I think, do you like It Follows?
I think it's great.
Me too. I think it's great too. I am going to say he is below expectations for me.
Agreed.
Because I was really expecting big things from him. And
Agreed.
Maybe this is beyond his control too. I don't know. But since then, we're 10 years on now, and I would have liked to have seen more output from him.
Yep. By the way, the director of The Fourth Kind has done a bunch of TV. He actually has done 14 episodes of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, very good for him.
And, yeah.
What's his name?
I am not going to try to pronounce it.
Fair enough. I've probably seen it in the credits, and I go, I can't pronounce that name.
Yep. Yes, below. It's weird to me that, like, he wasn't able to capitalize on It Follows, because that was another one. It was like a phenomenon. Like, it was like a big deal. And then he did the Under the Silver Lake or whatever, and then now he's got to kind of go back to the well already, which is weird. I don't know.
And it's weird because the Babadook and It Follows are very similar, and there are similar kind of releases where they caught on with an audience.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe just like I don't know.
Both filmmakers have kind of flailed a little bit.
It's like, nah, I don't need to make any more money
Right.
until they're like, I'll make another movie. Yeah.
A couple more here.
Yeah.
Oculus, which is a Mike Flanagan movie.
Oh, Exceeds.
Exceeds, right?
Sorry,
that's Oculus is a good little movie.
I have never seen Oculus. Still,
like I said, I'm a weirdo. I really like Mike Flanagan's movies. And the TV sometimes leaves me cold. But I don't know.
What have you watched of his TV though?
The first Netflix show he did,
The Hill House.
Hill House, which I liked.
Okay.
Actually, I think I really liked Hill House. The one that Midnight Mass is the one that just it worked ish for me, but it was I didn't connect with it like a lot of people did. That was the one where I'm like, hey, Mike Flanagan, like, well, can you write a novel, please? Because
yeah.
I'm like, I don't need to.
Did you watch Bly Manor? That second.
I fell off of that one. That's kind of where I went.
I did not like
bored.
Bly Manor as like that's the weakest one for me personally.
His TV stuff drags for me. His Netflix stuff really drags for me.
Yeah. Fair.
But I'm with you. I don't like even
Exceeds still.
It exceeds expectations. Like he's one of the bigger, more reliable names. Didn't he just
get attached to something?
Exorcist, the new Exorcist movie. We talked a little bit about that kind of thing earlier. We're like, you gotta make that IP money.
I know. I haven't seen the other one.
The David Gordon Green one.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Yeah, they're basically ignoring that moving forward. With the thing is, I think Flanagan's a really good choice.
If Flanagan gets like carte blanche and just gets to do whatever he wants to do,
yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
Ignore
at
the
the least.
David Gordon Green thing. Yeah, I think we'll be all right.
The David Gordon Green thing is a bummer because I feel like I do feel like some of it was, I don't want to say beyond its control, but I think the reaction to his second two Halloween movies kind of affected what he did with that movie. I don't feel like he goes full bore. It's not as weird as those two Halloween movies he made.
They are weird.
They are weird.
Can you believe how that fucking series of David Gordon Green movies went?
Crazy. It's crazy. You like it.
Would you ever have expected that was the, like, after like the build up to Halloween 2018? 18? Yeah. Like in this whole, like, we're going back to basics and stuff. And for the most part, they do. For the most part. Would you ever have expected Kills after that? No.
No, but Kills is like one of my favorite movies in the series.
It's incredible. It's incredible. It's so... Yeah, anyway, sorry.
Two more, and then we'll finally get to Wingard and Barrett. Starry Eyes. We talked a little bit about Starry Eyes. Those filmmakers, Kolsch and Widmeyer, they made Pet Sematary. They had a segment in a anthology movie called Holidays that I've seen, and they did 3 episodes of the Scream TV series. So they did that Pet Sematary remake. I'm going below.
I'll go below as well.
This is teetering on below and Met, just because I don't know what my expectations would have been. I loved Starry Eyes. I'm going below because I don't really like that Pet Sematary remake much.
No, I think it had a tough hill to climb for me as soon as they were like, they're pretty upfront about like changing kind of the basic plot. Not the plot, but like it's the kid thing. They changed the kid thing. And when I heard that, I was like, nope, it's not the same. It's just not. I will say they kind of stick the landing, though. Like, the ending of that movie is pretty good. Like, even though I don't love the journey to get there a ton, like, them ending with remember the doors unlocking and the...
Yes.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good ending.
We talked about this recently, didn't we? On the show?
Because we talked about the that Bloodlines.
Yeah.
That kind of trashy DTV movie.
That's so bad. Duchovny, baby.
Yes.
He's so sleepy in that movie.
Duchovny, even like he's even sleepy in roles when I like him, but he's like super sleepy in that one.
Yeah. Anyway, so Below. Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows came out this year. Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement directed this. Now, I had liked Flight of the Conchords before this. Taika, this is a weird one. I'm just gonna go Met, and I like a lot of the stuff.
I'll go Met as well because like he's exactly the kind of director coming out of that movie, like the buzz behind him that I would expect Marvel to like throw.
That's a good point.
Project. So yes, Met, and because he's made 2, and one I loved. And the other one I was kind of like on. I'll go Met.
I'm gonna go.
If they had both been, I think. Like I'd go Exceed, but yeah.
He's also made one of my. Well, he didn't make it. He produced, I should say, one of my favorite TV shows too. Well, What We Did in the Show, but also Reservation Dogs is a show that I really, really love.
I do want to watch that too.
Yeah. I think that we both agree. I think the TV show has kind of beat this movie too.
It has.
What has Jermaine done since?
Jermaine?
Yeah.
He's been on the show once or twice.
Yeah, and I think he plays a. I don't know what he's directed though since. Do I want to waste time looking it up? Let's see.
Jermaine Clement.
Jermaine Clement. Oh, we got some time here. He has. No, they don't really have it broken.
It's Jermaine. I thought it was Jermaine. Jermaine.
Jermaine.
Yeah.
I thought it was
There's no R.
There's no R?
No, it's Jermaine.
Jermaine, you're right.
Wow.
Co-director. I'm just trying to see if he directed anything. Since
my mind is blown.
No, he's acted a lot. I don't really see much as far as directing. Okay. I think he plays a role in the creative side of the TV show. So I'm gonna say Met. All right, and then
Met's good. Yep.
Wingard and Barrett. Barrett has not done a ton since. I'm gonna look up his filmography too while we're talking about him because he's worked on the VHS movies. But as far as directing, let's see. Directed a segment. He directed a movie called Seance a couple years ago that I saw and was not very good. And that's it.
So
and then a couple of segments on VHS. Wingard, though, I think is the one to talk about.
Barrett, I didn't have a ton of as a writer. Yes, I.
That's the thing is
as director, I'm like,
he was the writer.
I guess Met. I don't really have a lot of Wingard.
Wingard, we should talk about. He's the director.
That's tough because when I look at Wingard's first, when I look at Your Next and I look at The Guest, I go another guy who I could see a big studio or a Marvel or that kind of thing going.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened for him with the Kong movies. I'm gonna go Exceeded.
Okay.
Light exceeded, because he's so good that I'm I expected him to get gobbled up. I do feel like his voice has lost a tiny bit in the Kong stuff.
Big movies, yeah.
So I'm gonna go a light to medium exceeded.
I'm going Met because it does not surprise me. He's kind of made a couple of bigger.
It's not a shock.
Movies. It's not a shock because I think you see that in these two movies. You see that kind of mainstream.
Yep.
Chops. And I think Blair Witch actually has that too. I think we are. I've been there's a lot of independent found footage movies out right now, and I think we are very close to seeing a kind of that getting hot again, found footage style stuff. So because we talked about nostalgia, we're getting to that point where hey, you guys know some of this stuff was not very good, right?
Yeah.
So I think
I'm not ready for that to be back.
be like. I think I can kind of see
this
that.
is what getting old feels like, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So
Yep.
there we go. That was
All
fun.
right.
That was fun. All right.
It was good. Thank you.
horrormovieyearbook@gmail.com. All our socials. Now, we have one more episode before we decide on what we want to do, because we'd like to do a summer series. June, July, August. And we're going to talk about that when we decide to do it, and what we decide to do. It is my pick next. And I've been thinking about this, and this is what I want to do.
Oh, man.
It is on Pluto. Roger Corman recently passed. And he did a bunch of movies.
What's funny is I'm reading that book you let me borrow, finally getting to it.
The action?
Last Action Heroes. And there's a lot of Corman already. And
Yes.
God, that guy, like, if it weren't for Corman, so many actors, directors, writers would not have their careers. Yeah.
What I want to talk about, though, with you is one of his earlier Poe films.
Oh.
Edgar Allan Poe films. I want to talk about Mask of the Red Death, starring Vincent Price.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's fun.
It's
I
a
like
1964 movie.
I
if
was
you're
hoping
cool
for
with
an
it.
older one.
Yeah. And I think this is considered the best of his Poe movies. Because he did a handful of them.
Corman directed this.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So I want to dive in, and I want to talk a little bit about Roger Corman.
Awesome.
If you're cool
It's
with
on
it.
Pluto?
It is on Pluto.
Excellent.
It's on Pluto, and then you can rent it too. But let me just going to make sure for you.
Of course. Yeah.
And you know
Please
what?
do.
If need be, if you're out there and you don't want to download another app, which I understand, if you already have YouTube, you can find it on YouTube. I looked earlier.
It's on the YouTubes?
Yes. So
Good.
and you can rent it. It's a couple bucks on Prime, but it's free on Pluto with ads too. And it's also been uploaded by a fine gentleman or gentle lady on YouTube.
I do believe it is Mask with a Q, right?
Yes.
Q-U-E.
Yep.
Yes. So.
There we go.
Excellent.
All right.
That was great. Thank you
That was a lot of
guys for joining us. And we'll see you next time for Mask of the Red Death.